You see it in the headlines all the time, right? Corporations making these big moves, some that seem to bend the rules, maybe even break them completely. And it really makes you think.
So who actually holds them accountable? When a company crosses a line, who's the one to step in and say, hey, not so fast? Well, let's get into it.
Here in the Philippines, that big job belongs to the Securities and Exchange Commission. You know, the SEC. The best way to think about them? They're basically the corporate world's watchdog, making sure everyone is playing by the rules.
All right, so Section 1, the corporate watchdog. Let's talk about what gives this watchdog its teeth. The SEC's whole mission, really, is to keep an eye on the entire corporate sector. And their number one job? Protecting you, the investing public.
Okay, so how does the SEC actually pull this off? Well, they've got a pretty powerful set of tools to work with. Let's dive into what we're calling the investigator's toolkit.
It all follows a pretty clear process. First, they'll investigate any claim that a company broke the law. Then they can issue subpoenas, which is a fancy way of saying they can force people to show up, testify under oath, and hand over important documents. And if something bad is happening right now, they can slap them with a cease and desist order to make it stop immediately.
And one of their most powerful tools is something called an ex parte CDO. Honestly, just think of it as the big red emergency button. If the SEC sees a company doing something that could cause immediate serious damage to the public, they can slam this button. It issues an order instantly, without even needing a hearing first, and it freezes everything for up to 20 days.
But what if a company just ignores them? Well, that's a bad move. The SEC can hold them in contempt. Now, that starts with a fine up to 30,000 pesos, but here's the kicker. For every single day they keep ignoring the order, they get hit with another 1,000 peso fine. That starts to add up really, really fast. It just goes to show these orders have some serious bite.
Okay, so the investigation is done, and yep, they found a violation. What's next? Well, now we get to the consequences. Let's talk about the real price of misconduct.
The SEC basically has 4 major punishments it can hand out. And to make it easy to remember, just think of these 4 letters, FCSD. So what do you think they stand for?
All right, here we go. The punishments get more serious as we go down the list. F is for fines. Pretty straightforward. C is for a permanent cease and desist order. Then it gets really serious with S. That's suspension or even complete revocation of their license to operate. And the ultimate corporate death penalty? D, for the dissolution of the entire corporation. Wow.
So, about those fines, how much are we talking about here? Well, for just one violation, the fine can go all the way up to 2 million pesos. Yeah, 2 million. That's definitely the kind of number that makes a boardroom sit up and pay attention.
Now, the revised Corporation Code lays out a whole list of specific no-nos. Let's take a look at what's on this, shall we say, menu of corporate offenses. Okay, look at this. For something like fraudulent conduct, the fines are already pretty high. But see what happens when that fraud actually hurts the public? The fines skyrocket. Same deal for an auditor who helps cook the books. And check this out. The penalty for going after a whistleblower, that can cost you up to 1 million pesos. Yeah, let's zoom in on that fraudulent conduct for a second. The standard fine can go up to $2 million. But if what you did ends up harming the public, whoa, that max penalty jumps to 5 million pesos. It's a really clear message, right? The more people you hurt, the more you're going to have to pay.
And on that topic of whistleblowers, the law is super specific about protecting them. Section 169 says retaliation is any kind of interference with their job or their livelihood, not just firing them, but anything that messes with their work. That's a really important shield for people who have the courage to speak out.
So this all begs a really important question. When a company gets hit with a penalty, who's actually responsible? I mean, is it just the company's name on a piece of paper? Let's find out exactly who is on the hook.
As you can see right here, the blame gets shared. Obviously, the corporation itself can get fined or even shut down. But the law goes further. It points the finger directly at the people involved, the directors, the officers, and yep, even the employees who played a part.
And get this, Section 172 casts that net even wider. It basically says that anyone who counsels, commands, or even just induces the violation is also on the hook. So you don't even have to be the one doing the illegal act. If you helped make it happen, you're responsible.
And that really brings us to the heart of it all.
The law makes it crystal clear that responsibility isn't just one person's problem. It's a chain that links everyone, from the boardroom all the way down to the back office. Which leaves us with a really big question to think about. If everyone can be held responsible, where does accountability truly begin?